Hello and welcome to a special episode of BROKAKAKA. I'm Jim.
I'm Sam.
I'm Jacob. Oh.
Who are you?
I'm an imposter. Nice to meet you.
He's a spy trying to steal all our secrets, all of our secret Rokakarikrits.
The enemy is a spy.
Yes, we have a special guest today. Grayfruit, the streamer extraordinaire. You've seen his videos. They're very funny and good.
Oh, thank you so much. You flatter me. Yeah,
I try.
I made Smash montages for a while, and now I'm doing anything montages, technically, by the definition of what a montage is. But
Yeah, actually, I did want to kind of jump in to. I wanted to talk about your career for a bit. I know career is kind of a weird word, but I'm someone that has found you very recently. From a very specific way, as
Bloodborne.
you commented on a lot of our podcast.
oh,
Yeah, and I was like, wow, who's this guy? He keeps commenting, and it's awesome. He always is calling me out on all the bullshit that I say, and and then I was like, whoa, he has a lot of subscribers.
yeah. I don't want to be too much of a prude, but you were spelling Kakuin wrong.
That was the one I wanted to bring up, which when I saw that, I laughed so hard. I was like, and not only was it wasn't in the titles either. It was on the thumbnails, which I will not go back and edit. So
It's right into there. So, oh well. I've made similar mistakes in the past. Just thought it might be good for algorithm, because nobody's gonna be searching for Kakyayon or whatever.
Kakyayon. No, that's actually no. Honestly, I think one thing that creators really appreciate. I hate to refer to myself as a creator. I do like a podcast. It's not that important or interesting.
Just say the creator.
Yes.
The ultimate act of hubris.
Yeah, it's very very true actually. But so I think that the best thing you can do to a creator is to be honest and to give good constructive criticism. And I feel like even in my life, I'm a little too nice to people, and I wonder if maybe I need to be not more cutting, but I think that everyone can use some constructive criticism.
Oh yeah, yeah. You need to get that Roger Ebert edge.
Hell yeah.
Not to say that I'm comparing myself or anyone here to Roger Ebert.
I don't know. I think him and I are pretty similar minds.
Sure, Jim.
I mean, we both like the Ghost in the Shell movie, so I mean that's pretty cool.
That's basically all opinions in the world. So you match up on everything.
Hell yeah. That's my favorite random fact is that in whenever that movie came out, the original Ghost in the Shell anime, Roger Ebert gave it a pretty good review and said hey, this anime stuff, this Japanimation stuff, it's going somewhere.
Yeah, he liked Studio Ghibli films as well.
Hell yeah, a man of culture and taste. Unfortunately, he's not with us.
And unfortunately, he didn't think video games were art, so...
Oh yeah, fuck that guy. No, I'm kidding. I think that was I don't know, it's a very different world to... because at the time, video games were a toy, and I think that's kind of the argument that he puts up, and whereas even though I would vehemently disagree, I think that the mechanics of games make them so much more interesting than just a toy. But whatever, this is a weird argument.
Yeah, he had only played it was some game that I had never heard of called Memories of Kyoto, and fucking
Persona 4
and fucking Myst, which you've ever played. What a horrible what a horrible only frame of reference to have for video games. Fucking Myst. I was like, you know what, Roger Ebert? Yeah, Myst ain't art. You go. Not really.
But so I kind of cut you off earlier. I think you said you introduced yourself as Jacob. Is that how you want to be referred to in this?
Yeah, I don't know. It does feel weird. It's a whole world of difference being verbally called your screen name than being typed at you, you know?
It is really fucking weird. And I've joined a bunch of I've made a bunch of Discord friends in the past year because I've gotten into art and shit. Mm-hmm. And everyone calls me by my screen name, and I'm just that's weird. It just feels so strange.
Yeah, I should call both of you Jokakaka 1 and 2. Thing 1 and 2 from
one and
Cat in the Hat.
2.
I'm Joka and Sam is Kaka, so.
And then you do the fusion dance.
That's one thing that I've always wanted. I've been waiting for someone to do a fan art of Sam and I fused, but I guess we haven't really released any images of ourselves, so.
Yeah. There's that like one Permello stream where you had like a semi-realistic drawing, and then Sam is just a little like Kappa or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what that's from. I see it in your profile picture too. I know I'm probably an anime noob.
It is from the anime Stars Am I, but I don't know. It's like the Kappa because it kind of looked like me, so I was like, this is good enough.
Yeah.
It does kind of resemble Sam.
It's
like
a nice avatar.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, Stars on Mine is pretty good. I'd highly recommend it if you like the works of oh fuck, I was gonna try and name drop a cool anime guy, but I can't remember his name.
The guy, right?
Yeah, the guy that did Utena. It'll come to me in like 10 hours, so I'll just look it up really quick. But yeah, so yeah, going back to like, you said you used to do like Smash montages. That's really interesting.
Thanks. You're the first person who has ever put those words to it.
No,
that's
I think it's
very
more so, like,
interesting.
I think it's really interesting to track creators on the internet, especially YouTube, because like so many times people just don't delete their old shit.
Oh yeah.
And so you can just go back and be like, whoa, like I'm like one guy who I like a lot, H Bomber guy. Some of his early videos are just weird. Like they clearly were things for his friends, and that was it. But he left them up there.
Yeah, Vsauce recently on Twitter celebrated the 10th anniversary of his classic video Mario Farts. Which was it's just like a complete like garbage video of like Mario walking along and then he like gets propelled into the air by a huge fart or something. I'm like, thanks Vsauce, you're the man. But yeah, I have Smash montages instead of Mario farts.
Well, I think you have a little bit more honor with Smash montages than Mario farts.
Potentially, yeah. Potentially slightly
Smash
more.
what? Which Smash?
It started out with Smash 4 on the Wii U, the like super jank weird one, and then I moved on to Ultimate.
Yeah, at least you didn't go with like Brawl first, because a lot of people don't like Brawl.
Oh yeah, and I mean, if I had gone into Melee, I'm like not actually that great at the game, so I would have just been eaten alive.
Not sweaty enough for Melee.
I think everyone in college knew that one guy that was super into Melee, and they would force you to play Melee all the time.
Yeah. And then you're just like, well, you're great at it. I mean,
it's like, all right, I guess you just really needed some confidence boost today because you just killed all of us without losing one stock. So yeah. Oh, Falco again.
Is that so?
Jigglypuff.
Everyone's got their thing.
Oh no, Jigglypuff's that's like a special Hungry Box tier.
I don't know, man.
But yeah,
one person can literally pick any character and just like do the basic tech of fucking Melee.
Yeah, they can wave dash around as goddamn like Bowser, still whoop everyone's ass.
Oh my god, it's Smash is a weird world. I think I played one Smash tournament at like one of the first cons I went to, like a Smash, maybe at a Brawl tournament.
Yeah.
And there was some dude like playing as Snake who was just like in character as Snake, but like he wouldn't shut up, and I got really annoyed because he wouldn't shut up.
Wow, was he doing like calm messages mid-match?
He was just not even calm talking, not even that creative. He was just like talking the shit in like Snake voice.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah,
he takes a bite of a Snickers bar and is like, tasty.
No, he takes out a tree frog and bites off its head.
I wish he was that creative.
Sam, I think you have really unlucky experiences with going to like cons and playing video games in real life. Like, I remember that one time you played Mortal Kombat, and that one kid would act out every super.
Yeah, he reenacted every X-Ray and MK9. And I was just like looking at him, like what?
I don't know if that's bad luck. I think that's just the brilliant fighting game community.
I don't know. I had bad luck just playing like obnoxious people in fighting games.
It's kind of a can of worms to bring up the fighting community.
That is very true.
I love fighting.
Dodge this topic.
Yeah, it's times like these where I'm so relieved that I'm extremely disconnected from groups like this. Like, I love fighting games too, but same, like I love JoJo, but I'm not like, I don't know, I don't like to consider myself part of any fandoms really.
Yeah, it's good to keep a little bit aloof.
Like, could you imagine like back in the day, like some guys like, dude, I'm totally in the Tale of Two Cities fandom. Oh my god, like, oh, the ending is so good, but I wrote my own better ending.
The sad thing is, I'm sure that people like that did exist, but they didn't have like a platform, so they were even more like rabid.
Like, imagine The Catcher in the Rye if like the internet existed when it came out.
This is my sequel, Catcher in the Rye 2, where my self-insert character finds and has sex with the main character, but they're all adults, so it's fine.
It's just
and
like
in the third book, they revive John Lennon.
and like Ronald Reagan just doesn't get shot.
Was that also linked to The Catcher in the Rye?
I'm pretty sure it was.
The fuck? That book has a kill count.
It really does, including my boredom because I liked it.
Oh,
Like what inspired shootings that were inspired by The Catcher in the Rye.
Jesus. All right, well, we've already covered fighting game communities and shootings, so
How can we
This
combine?
video is not monetized.
want to move on to Hornet culture?
No, I think I guess we can talk about just like JoJo.
What's that?
Question
Yes, I love that show.
mark? Ew, cringe. Actually,
I love those
no,
dungeons.
JoJo is it's funny because I would like to know how you got into JoJo, and this is the thing we try and do. So, how'd you get into JoJo, and then like, what's your favorite part? What's your favorite JoBro, like, etc.
Okay. Damn, I should have expected this. I don't even remember how I got into JoJo. I think I literally just was like, I give in, you know? And was like, okay, fine, fuck it, I'll watch it. Because it was kind of like the craze had already started. And it was after the Part 4 anime was out. And I went on Crunchyroll. Hold on. You thought earlier was cringe. Buckle up, because I went on Crunchyroll. I was like, hey, what's this JoJo's Bizarre Journey thing? And I got out my old person glasses and I looked at the screen. And I just saw that it said, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamond is Unbreakable, Episode 1. So I started on Part 4 watching the anime. I was like, I kind of don't really get what's happening some of the time, but I can piece it together. Like, I was like, okay, I get what a stand is, and like I get kind of what's going on. Their music references, all right. And but then like halfway through the part, I realized my error, and I was like, oh fuck. And so after that,
Arrow.
yeah. Well, Jotaro was the most confusing. I was like, who the fuck is this guy?
Who's this
I can't
photo?
even imagine.
Yeah,
I can't even imagine being
The
able to
icon
figure
of
out
the series.
Jotaro.
You were an accidental part skipper.
Yeah, exactly. And then I went back and watched parts 1 through 3, and then I think when it was like I watched all the parts 1 through 3, and then watched part 4 again with the new context, and then I was like, oh, are there any parts after this? And I Googled it, and it was like, oh yeah, there's parts 5 through 8. And part 5 is literally just been announced for animation. Like, it was like the day that it had been announced, so I was like, okay. But then I started reading the manga halfway through the run of the Part 5 anime, because I wanted to know what happened. So, favorite part? I don't know. Favorite JoBro? I don't know. They're all so good. No, I like Part 4 a lot, actually. Favorite JoBro is probably Gyro. That's a basic bitch answer.
Hell yeah.
It's so true.
It's a good answer, though.
It's a good answer.
Yeah.
It's funny that you jumped into Part 4 and, like, I don't know, I think that's interesting because Part 4 is really good, and I have no idea how it would hold up without, like, any prior knowledge, but it's almost like that initial bit, like, hooked you enough to, like, oh, I guess I'll...
I wonder if it, like, worked out better than it would have if I had watched Phantom Blood at the beginning and been like, oh, this is dumb, you know? Because I definitely really immediately fell in love with the weirdness, and especially the thing that really threw me off was that the fucking sky was yellow. I was like, I can't, I need to know why the colors are so weird, and then I kind of learned eventually.
Because it's JoJo.
Yeah.
Because Hirohiko Araki is a crazy person. Yeah.
That's one thing that I really love about Part 4. I think the Part 4 anime looks really good. I think it's probably the best looking one so far, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just because almost entirely by the color design. I think the color design does so much for that show. It makes me just want to sit down and rewatch it.
Yeah, they really nailed it. Even, like, a lot of people complained about Part 5 anime, how it was kind of like, it was mostly realistic colors. And people are like, no, we want to see fucking, like, Rainbow Giorno blasting out of fucking Abakio's asshole. Come on. We need the crazy shit. And it never really went that insane. But Part 4 was like, whoa, all the time, so.
Yeah, that's when I remember seeing, like, the first shot of Part 5, and it was it was, like, I think Naples, and you see, like, the blue sky, and I was like, darn, we're going back to blue sky, aren't we?
Well, I think, wasn't it supposed to be that the yellow sky was, like, smog, basically? Like, or pollution or something like that? That's the vibe I always got from it.
Huh.
I don't know, maybe that's just...
I don't know. There was
Crazy.
never any focus on pollution or anything, so I never really.
Yeah, there's kind of like suburban industrialization, but not too much. I don't know. I guess I never really thought too hard about it. I always think, oh, Asia, they're all polluted over there. Those crazy Japanese.
I'll never forget the Japanese Joestar part 3.
Oh man, when I'm saying like favorite part, I'm always like slapping my forehead, going, "No, part 2, no."
Hell yeah.
Part 2's a
Thinking
very
about
good
Joseph. I don't
Part 2
know.
is so underrepresented in like favorites because I think it doesn't have the stands and people just like
Yeah.
they don't put it in their same like it doesn't feel like what JoJo's becomes. But part 2 is like it's like a nonstop thrill ride. Like there is no wasted time. It's like boom, boom, boom. It just feels so much fun.
Yeah, shit just damn ass happens, and that was like where he started to get better writing chops too, where it wasn't like you now care about Zeppeli, now he's dead. And now there's a bunch of random characters at the end of Phantom Blood that literally nobody gives a shit about, but they're in the end page with like all the main characters and
Wait,
stuff
you don't
like
care
that.
about Dire and Straits?
Ah, well, see. I love Dire and Straits. They're my favorite.
Said no
One
one
of them was
ever.
the guy that became a head and spat a rose in Dio's eye, I'm pretty sure. Which is pretty badass.
Yeah, I mean the amount of effort that would take is more than I could do, I think.
Yes, I couldn't even spit a rose across a room, and I have my body.
They went in
And,
there
yeah,
with a
your
gimmick,
lungs.
man. And then they did their one gimmick. If it
Hormone.
failed, they're screwed.
The so I was gonna say something but I forgot. Oh, one thing I think is really interesting, he said how like 2 instantly like the rating shops got better. It's like comparing just like the Zeppeli, it's just such an improvement of like because it's kind of awkward in the first one, I think, in part 1, where he's just like a dude that shows up and he's like, hey, I'm gonna teach you magic breathing power because we have to do something about this. And
Yeah.
in 2, it's like, oh no, he's like the Zeppeli is like a rival character, but he still is like supporting, and he's still kind of in that like master mentor and like a little bit in
Yeah.
some aspects. But then it like hurts so much when Caesar dies because she's like, no, I like Caesar because Joseph likes Caesar, and then it's just funny because later on the Zeppelis just keep getting better. Like
Yeah.
no one will say that Gyro is not the best Zeppeli. Like he's just by far so developed. He's got so much pathos and
Coolest powers.
also the bling. He's got the bling.
He
the
does have
teeth.
that fucking bling. Yeah, I think JoJo tends to just get better. And people are always like, "Oh, you know, what part should I start on?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. In a perfect world, you would be able to read it both forward and backwards at the same time because it's so good now, but it's like you need the building blocks of it that were set up earlier, you know, to truly appreciate in the most recent chapter when all that shit showed up, like the stone mask and shit. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't want to spoil.
Callbacks. Callbacks.
I guess we
will
can spoil.
always make
Definitely spoil.
Hell
callbacks
yeah.
will always make you pop, no matter what.
Yeah, I gotta say, there are things on which we differ opinion-wise. One of them
Oh,
is
really?
the world at the end of like the high voltage arc at the end of part 7.
Mm-hmm.
I always hear people go like, "Oh, you know, that was so awesome," and it is like you turn the page and you're like, "What?" But then it was kind of like I started to think about it and I was like, "What really was the point of that?" Though I don't know. It just felt kind of like, "Oh yeah, remember he's Dio. He's got the world." You know, I don't know. Something about that sort of thing rubbed me the wrong way. But what I'm trying to say is that sometimes that shit does work. And when it was like when he was going through whenever he basically redoes like the history of like what makes a stand or whatever and adds whatever the new thing is, like the Devil's Palm or whatever. That's always fun because it always feels like he's just putting a nice little bow on the whole series like that, you know.
Going back to Dio, like what you said, it's something that like that is definitely an unpopular opinion. I think like people
Yeah.
almost love that unanimously, but from the point of view of like Johnny, like from the point of view of our in-universe characters,
Yeah, he's like, who
He
the fuck
has-
is this?
yeah, it doesn't have much significance because like there's no way that Johnny would have any like connection to this. It really is just something that is to be enjoyed by the fans reading it, and like
Yeah.
to Johnny that's basically just like oh, it's just another stand fight.
Wait.
But to us, it's like this big reference. It's like 30 or not 30, like 20 years in the making, and it just feels like this great callback. But like conceptually, Valentine is like such a better like climax villain for Johnny, because they counter each other in such interesting ways. It's like this big clash of ideals. But
yeah, and they had all that. I agree I think that Valentine's fight was a lot more interesting, especially because he had the new powers, and I don't know. Yeah, I think it was sort of a what do they call it? Non-diegetic sort of like wink to the audience, which is fine. But I also think what with how much sort of stress he's been putting on all these recurring character names and characters being or just being like named after other characters. I hope that he sort of comes together with some sort of like, and this is why I was doing that sort of thing. Because it is nice to have like, oh, Dio's throwing the knives, fuck yeah, he's doing his thing. But it's also, I don't know, Araki likes to put that bow on things, and I'm sort of waiting for him to explain really what the fucking deal is with the alternate universe. Like, I know it's like, everyone's different, but they're kind of the same.
Kind of like how Yasho is like Koichi's last name.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have characters that have the names of other characters that seem to have almost no connection, like Kyo having the last name Nijimura.
Yeah.
It's just like...
because she's like a lackey.
It's like yeah, it's like to throw you off almost. Like,
the same thing with the Kira, because, you know, the whole intro chapter was just like to throw you off, like, oh, it's going to be just like the same Kira, and then the surprise it's not.
Yeah,
that's especially
as
confusing.
different as you can be.
Yeah, and it's so confusing just trying to pin down who the fuck, like, I think maybe people are a little too obsessive about finding, like, oh, this is this guy, you know?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people, oh, what was the really weird one? It was like, Gyro is Speedwagon or something, like, there was some, or I think it was like Steven Steele is Speedwagon. Which is like, I could kind of see, but Speedwagon exists in Steel Ball Run already.
The thing is, now after the recent chapter, the Speedwagon Foundation is like 100. Like, I know it was like a sponsor in Part 7, but that was never like a big deal. Where now Lucy's working for them, and it's like, what the hell now? Speedwagon Foundation's super important.
Yeah, the Speedwagon Foundation got mentioned like one hot time at the very beginning of Part 7, I think, and no other times.
Yeah, because I think Jim looked it up and said they were like a sponsor for the race, and that was like their extent. But now I guess they're like the FBI essentially.
I want to go back to that one point you made about how like you want to see everything get tied together, because we have like all these references, these characters being referenced again. And I just recently binged all of Adventure Time, which is a series that I like really adore. I won't spoil it in case we have anyone out there that doesn't want spoiled. But basically, in Adventure Time, we see a lot of different like time periods in the show. Like, it jumps around the time a lot, from like the current setting to like the far future to like the distant past. And there's always this like recurring motif of like the boy and the dog, and like you see like different versions of Finn in like wildly drastic ways. And then you also see like the same kind of characters like reincorporated, and like sometimes characters are like pretty evil and sometimes they're like totally neutral, or like, and I don't know, to me in Adventure Time, what I'm getting at here is that it feels like that's part of this universe. It's like there are these constants and there's these cycles that the world keeps going through, and there's not really like a meaning to it, but and the finale goes into this too, and how it's just kind of like a magical thing that just perpetuates, and time is always existing and repeating. Whereas in JoJo, it doesn't. Yeah, like I totally see your criticism. Like, it doesn't really have like a purpose other than to just be like, oh, look at these familiar elements that are reincorporated in sometimes interesting ways.
Yeah, and I think Araki will be able to get a little more meaning out of it. That whole Adventure Time thing you were talking about kind of reminds me of DC Comics multiverse garbage, where every time there's a timeline where Bruce Wayne's parents don't get killed or whatever, it's always he ends up becoming Batman anyway, or in some universes he becomes the Joker and whoever was going to become the Joker becomes Batman or something, like some crazy like convoluted shit like that. And it's like, oh, they're always good and evil, or chaos and righteousness are always destined to clash together. And that's kind of fun. Like X-Forts, I watch his every time a new chapter of JoJolion comes out, I watch X-Forts and I watch you guys like your review of it. and at one point he was talking about how he thinks it's part of just how the Joestars are destined to fight the Brandos or whatever, and that's just a part of this universe. So that kind of, and I do get that vibe. I don't want to like completely write off the whole alternate universe like names and stuff thing. It is interesting, especially in part 8 with just so many names left and right, and even ones like Herrera where you're like, okay, that's clearly oh fuck, what's her name? Yukako, yeah. And but I think Araki will come around to it. he's got a lot to tie off, especially in part 8, where he just keeps introducing new shit.
I forget to see. Someone made a list of like everything, like the stuff that still has to be answered to it, and she was like one of them, and like the baby. Yeah. There's so much layers.
Yeah, well, I like the theory that people are pushing around now that we're only halfway through part 8 and we're going to get another 100 chapters of it.
Well, how else are we going to get the 100-page nut, is my question. That seems
next
inevitable.
Can't wait.
That I wonder. I don't. It's hard to tell if Araki even like gives a shit about the number of the chapter, you know? I should have just ended it there. It's hard to tell if Araki gives a shit.
I mean,
yeah,
at this
really
point,
is.
Ultra Jump, like because we talked about it before, but like I got like an Ultra Jump volume, and like it's just like it's so different, like everything else in like the manga or like in the manga collection, and just like I feel like they just let Araki, since he is Araki, like you can do whatever you want, like.
Yeah, is it just a bunch of like what do they call it, like shoujo?
I used to see a lot of waifu stuff. There's no gun life, and then everything else is just like I couldn't tell you what.
It's a seinen publication, so like it's directed more towards like an adult audience. But it's weird because like I think for me at least you don't quite understand how much manga is made, and the amount of manga that is made in Japan is like incredible, like to the point where it will never all be translated. And a lot of the stuff in these books is just like boy and girl have conversation. Like exactly, you can just boil it down. And like the art isn't ever like super incredible. Like just going by like this one issue that Sam had, which was thick as hell.
Yeah,
these fucking volumes are thick.
My sister went to Japan. I told her to get me Ultra Jump, and she was expecting it to be like a slim magazine with like and get me a bunch of them. It's like it was like the biggest thing. I could only get one to fit in my suitcase. Like
wow.
It's like
tragic.
It's like a murder weapon.
Yeah, it's a tome.
It is crazy, and it's funny too because like it feels like there's so many things that just kind of bleed together, and then you find like something like No Gun Life, which is this is like very recognizable to me as like a fun manga premise where the guy is like a cop with a gun for a head, and then you see like oh shit, JoJo is here, and like something that I was talking about recently with one of my friends is like JoJo doesn't really even feel like anime anymore. Like
yeah, it's kind of its own thing.
Yeah, the visual aesthetic of it is so, and like Araki's influences have changed to just being like, it seems like he just loves like Renaissance sculpture, and that's all. It's Renaissance sculpture and like fashion magazines. That's all he is inspired by now. So it doesn't
album
feel
covers,
like anime, and album covers. It doesn't really feel like anime and manga anymore.
Yeah, his style has developed so much, and actually, I've been ripping you guys off, doing my own sort of. It's like an open quotes podcast on my channel where I just like scan through, or I just like scroll through the manga basically and just riff on it or talk about whatever I want to. And oh fuck, I just lost my entire train of thought. God damn it! I was so guilty about ripping you off.
No,
it's fine.
Cursed. But yeah, it's sanctioned. It's a Jokakaka sanctioned ripoff.
Yeah. I know what I was gonna say. It was that you can just see so clearly how Araki's art style has just, to use a pretentious word, blossomed over the years. Like, part 1 is like, bro, what the fuck, sometimes. Like, you look at the faces of, like, some of the background characters and stuff, and then in part 8, it's, like, so detailed and so consistent for the most part, except for Josuke having a huge knee in that one panel. And like
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Toru having like 7 fingers that one time. You know what? We all make mistakes, Araki. But he's got so much better at this point, and I feel like his inspirations are just art, just any art.
The thing that I've been so fascinated with, and like I'm trying to get back into like drawing, and like I've been kind of like on and off drawing the past couple of years, and like anatomy is something I really struggle with, and it was really like I think it started in like late like maybe mid to late part two, but Araki found out how to draw anatomy incorrectly but make it look good.
Yes.
And that's the thing, like one of my favorite panels I always bring up, and if anyone was watching my live stream the other day, I explicitly talked about this and had it on screen. The picture, the last panel of part 4, where Josuke, let me grab a picture of it. Josuke poses and his hands are massive. Like let me hold on.
Well, like his hands on his hips, you know?
Yeah,
Are you talking about the one where he's like staring into distance, like into the sunset?
And his hands are massive, and like you don't even notice it at first, because the like what's the word? The composition of the drawing looks so good. Like it all just works. I just dropped it in the chat. It works so well that you. I think that's part of it too. I think you get used to Araki's art style and how it feels, and he always goes for like, yeah, isn't it crazy?
Jesus.
He always goes for like the pose first. Like he's always trying to put the most expressive pose out there, and some of the anatomy details just aren't as important to him, but the message of the pose carries through, and it's really fucking cool.
Yeah, there's in part 1, it's like when I think it's the beginning of the chapter, Danny in flames or something like that after Danny gets murdered, and it's like Jonathan is like rushing forward to punch Dio, and it's the most fucking like disorganized clusterfuck of limbs I've ever seen in my life. It looks like his leg is coming out of the square of his back, or like the small of his back at like a right angle. It's insane. I'll send it to you guys, but I don't know if I have it here right now. But it's so good too. It like carries the There's always those like insane poses, but it carries that sort of. It's a very emotionally driven sort of pose, and it's like, damn, he's got like tears flying out of his eyes while he's doing it and stuff. You're like, you can really feel the motion of this, even though it looks like he's fucking dead. Basically, he's dislocated his leg in a horrible way.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's not the first time I've said it, but yeah, Rocky's a good artist. Like,
yeah,
I think so.
He's gifted and I maybe not gifted. Gifted is not the right word, but he knows how to like channel art in like such a different way, and I think he's got that really interesting perspective of being like he comes from like an Eastern culture, but he's like obsessed with like the Renaissance sculpture and like that kind of art where like anatomy is so important in that kind of thing, especially sculpture. Like if the anatomy's off in a sculpture, it looks really like kind of creepy. It's like the uncanny valley kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. He's cool. I would love to see like some actual art critic give like a really
Roger
thorough
Ebert
breakdown of him.
We need Roger Ebert to review the entire show. We got to bring him back.
We'll force him to watch the shitty live action movie.
Not again. God.
He's like, what the fuck is this crap?
It's like I saw these men with ghosts behind them, but they didn't seem to be afraid of the ghosts. They were like friends with them.
What are these crazy Chinese cartoons?
Oh my god, that movie, man.
I think Araki has like real ass art submitted to like the Louvre or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a whole JoJo exhibit.
It was like Rohan centric too, which is like, all right, Araki, good for you, bro.
I mean, he did the Louvre and he had JoJolion. Didn't JoJolion also do a Gucci thing too?
Yeah, so that's even more
With
crazy because that
Bruno.
was yeah. So there's a one-off comic about Jolene going to Gucci. There's also one where Rohan goes to Gucci,
Mm-hmm.
and that one's really funny because it's like literally just an ad for Gucci, and it's like 12 pages long, and Rohan changes his costume like 4 times, and there's a girl, he has an assistant that's his like translator, even though he can speak Italian, and she changes her costume like 4 times. It's great.
Yeah, the one with the Jolin Fly High with Gucci one is so. Can we talk about how that one's just like nonsense for a little bit?
I've actually never read that one.
It's so weird. I don't know. I haven't read it in a while, but I remember there was a point where I was like, all right, I'm done reading the manga. I'm just going to do all the one-offs. I don't think I ever got all of them, but Fly High with Gucci is like Jolin's at airport security, and Bruno and Abakio are there. And they're both airport security officers or something, and it's like maybe they're doing like some gang shit or something, but I don't even really remember that much. It's just like they check her and like let her through. I'm pretty sure. I think there's more intrigue than that, but it's a very short thing, and it also just feels like, yep, I'm watching an advertisement for Gucci right now. Which I don't even like Gucci as a company, really. That's one of those things where I'm like, you do you, Araki, whatever. He's into the fashion shit, I guess, so that's a big name.
I have to say, like, I'm someone that wishes...
Maybe it's like a metaphor for, like, it's like the, it's like limbo, and they're just stuck there. Everybody that died throughout JoJo and that universe.
Oh, no! That's awful, because it doesn't make sense.
Gucci is actually purgatory.
Oh, no. Checks out in my understanding of Gucci.
Checks out.
That would be crazy if it turns out that, like, this one random ad one-off is, like, the key to all of JoJo lore. It's a massive reveal in Part 8 that everyone who's dead is at Gucci Land.
Gucci Land.
Actually, the epilogue.
Gucci's at Gucci.
It's actually the epilogue to the original universe.
Oh, God.
Damn, that'd be tragic.
God, I just remember people like thinking like during that recent chat there were people thought like, oh my God, Hermes is a rock woman. I'm just like that wasn't the point of that.
Yeah, that was kind of silly. Every time a new chapter comes out, everybody's like, oh, okay, never mind. They like freak out about one new thing, and then it's like, oh, okay, never mind. We all got like dampened on that.
It's not too. I don't want to be too mean, but sometimes I just see the shit posted where people like. Somehow they didn't read. It's 40 pages, guys. Like, just read the 40 pages. Like, because people just miss incredible details. Like, like I don't know. Like, they're like, wait, why was Toru so small as a baby? It's like, if you read it,
because they're little, all right.
It said
Makes
how big he
sense.
was. But yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of people jump to like, oh, JoJo's wacky and bizarre, and they think that there's no explanation for things. But a lot of the times, they just need to read the text bubble that's above what the crazy picture, and Araki tells you what's happening.
Yeah, it's. I mean, there is some stuff where there's like plot holes and shit, but
of course, yeah.
It's not like I remember, and I might be totally wrong on this, but there was an old manga that I saw. I had a friend who used to read it. That was just. It was called like bo something. It was
like
just, it was just like
bo.
Yeah, it was a ton of bows in a row, and that one, when I like, from what I saw of it, kind of just felt like nonsense. Sometimes just for the sake of being nonsense. I don't know if that's actually true, but I kind of get the impression when people see. Honestly, it's kind of a shit title, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Because people are all like, oh, it's that, like, goofy, crazy show where goofy things happen. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's definitely not a show where, like, everybody dies and fucking, like, weeps at the end of every part. And, like...
There's, like, incredible theming and, like, extremely deep characters.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like...
Yeah.
It's really funny because I remember hearing about JoJo, like, when my first year of college in 2012, one of my friends who was also a big weeb, I was talking with him and he's like, we started watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and like getting drunk and watching it. And he was talking about it like, oh, he's like kind of hate watching it. And I was like,
yeah.
Oh, JoJo. In my head, I was like, oh, is this like about like a small anime girl named JoJo who goes on adventures? And that's what JoJo was to me for a few years.
Yeah, for a long time, I kind of just figured that any weird anime stuff that I saw was JoJo because it was so talked about. And then I finally got into it and I saw... I think you guys were talking about this on a recent episode, actually, but it was Dio's road roller move from Heritage for the Future.
Yes, yeah.
Are you guys familiar with Salty Bet at all?
Oh no, my God, I love fucking Salty Bet.
Okay. Well, I used to do Salty Bet all the time. It's, to those of you who don't know, it's like a fighting game with like a million characters in it, and they place AI against each other, and people place bets of imaginary money on which AI is going to win. But I always saw Dio in there, and it was like every time any JoJo character showed up, the whole chat would be like, "Oh, JoJo reference," and but when I like saw part 3, I was like, "Oh, that's the thing that I've seen like a million times of the steamroller." Oh, crazy! So I kind of had a similar like hazy, like, oh, it's probably just some goofy nonsense. But then I actually checked it out, and I was like, "Whoa."
And I always remember on Salty Bed and just always this image of Dio fighting a killer whale, and I'm just like, what is Salty Bed? What happened here?
Wait, sorry, you cut out.
I said there's a picture of Dio fighting a killer whale in Salty Bed.
Oh yeah, or like Ronald McDonald and shit like that.
There's a Ronald McDonald model that is just Dio, like instead of like knives, he throws burgers and like stuff like that.
I really appreciate the level of effort they put into that bullshit.
I love Salty Bed.
It's really funny. One other thing, so yeah, like I find the Dio, like the way that the JoJo fan base has like put its roots into everything and just the Western culture, like only in like what 7-8 years that it's been out, like is crazy. And to think like in Japan they've had this shit since the 89, I guess I think 89 was the first year it started coming out, but. There is a I think I've mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again because I love it so much. There's a Rhythm Heaven parody video that someone made, and it's all JoJo characters, and it's like every part, and it's like they just redraw the characters to do the Rhythm Heaven like mini games, and like it's just crazy because it came out like you can watch the original video on YouTube. It came out in like 2007, and it's got like oh fuck yeah, like Dio is there, and like Funny Valentine's in one, like what the fuck, like it feels like impossible to imagine.
Yeah, especially like Part 7 references. You're like, huh, you know, people.
Yeah, because it feels new.
Yeah,
so Part 7 feels new, even though it's over a decade old.
Yeah, that shit's crazy. He really has started taking his time. It's like Part 1, I'm pretty sure, was like a weekly publication and is like a chapter long compared to fucking JoJolion, where he takes a month for every chapter. It's like, oh.
Yeah, it's crazy. He was doing weekly until the beginning of SBR. Like, this man has been very consistent with his releases. Like, it's crazy.
And it seems like he, I don't know if it says in the old ones when he took hiatus or not, but it's like now, not only does he do it monthly, he also takes breaks every fucking other month, too.
There's these really fun guides or charts that people make that are like the like hiatus charts, I guess they're called, and it's really funny for an anime like Hunter x Hunter, or sorry, not anime, a manga like Hunter x Hunter, where hold on, I'm gonna post. I just found one for JoJo, and looking at it, it looks like the man took almost no hiatuses for the first 4 parts. He didn't start taking a hiatus, and these are very seldom. Here, I'm going to post it.
Oh wow!
So, yeah, and it's funny because you can see like the moment that it turns to a monthly series, because instead of putting four chapters out a month, he's putting 1. But it's crazy, and like it's really fun too. And this is mean because the Japanese like manga industry is horrible in how it requires you to constantly work and work and work and have no life. But it's really fun to compare different people. Like you look at Togashi from Hunter x Hunter, and like he was pretty good for like the first year, and then after that it was like there'd be a couple month-long hiatus, and then now it's if we get 5 chapters a year, it's a blessing, it's a boon.
But that is interesting to look at. This chart is crazy.
Yeah, if pretty much any like big manga artist people have created charts like this for them. So if you're interested, if you read anything else, I think there's one for Berserk too that's kind of fun to look at because he was pretty consistent.
But that one's got to be a huge fucking chart.
Yeah.
As bad as Hunter x Hunter.
No, I don't think anything is really. It's cursed to be a Hunter x Hunter fan.
So you don't say the X then?
Oh no, yeah. You don't say the X.
I've been saying Hunter multiplied by Hunter, so now I look like a big scrub.
Hunter times Hunter.
Yeah.
It's honestly, it's one of those things, like, I don't quite understand. I think it's like the X in Japanese, might be completely wrong, so don't be mean, people. The X is like something you ignore, or is like something that you just leave out, so it's like just called Hunter x Hunter. And like that's like the name, like that's, people call it like Hanta Hanta in Japanese.
Thank you for translating it.
But so yeah, and it's a little bit more evident in the anime because every episode title is like Gone X, Journey X, Today. Like so, if you're to read the titles out, you're not going to put the X's there. So it's like, oh, it's Gone's Journey Today. Like
Gone by Journey by Today. Okay. Equals
Hunter squared. You should do Hunter X Hunter should be followed by Hunter squared.
I mean, like, if I need to call it, just call it Cross with the X there. Like,
oh, that's true.
The game series, a crossover RPG, Project Cross Zone. No, that's a giant crossover game They just like doing that.
Crossover.
Yeah,
Project Chalk Zone.
that's what Smash does it too. Whenever they do an announcement for like a guest character.
It's true.
So that could
Also,
be Hunter cross Hunter.
Something that blew my mind recently, and I'm a fucking dumbass idiot because I've watched all of Hunter x Hunter and then I've read all of Hunter x Hunter, and it didn't occur to me that it's called Hunter x Hunter because it's about a hunter hunting another hunter. It's about Gon trying to find his dad. I'm a fucking idiot. How did I not know that?
Nice. I was just in Bloodborne. I met a person who described themselves as a hunter of hunters. So
Hell yeah.
maybe it's a JoJo reference.
Dab. Hell yeah. Let's talk about Bloodborne now because I love that game.
Yes.
That was like the impetus of this. Was I mentioned
Yes.
Jokakaka on a Bloodborne stream? Yeah, I've been playing the shit out of that. I just recently I've got as far as the Witch of Chris Hemsworth, and what was the other guy that I beat? Fuck. We're like, seems like we're maybe like a third of the way through the game.
Did you fight Vicar Amelia yet?
Yes.
I fucking love that boss so much.
Yeah, we've been almost unfortunately we've been first trying a lot of the bosses because we just keep summoning. We keep like finding summon signs, and then we're just like, fuck it, take him to the boss. So we usually only get one good look at the boss. So I think we're gonna do New Game Plus potentially, which we've never done before. We've also played all the Dark Souls games in the past. Mm-hmm. We have a series called Lark Souls because the guy's my co-host's name is Lark. But then we have no idea what to call the Bloodborne series. We'll have to work on that.
Blark Souls.
Yeah, something like that. I don't even know. We're workshopping it. But
yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Soulsborne series,
so good.
as it's called. Or I've heard it been called Dark Demon Blood, which I like that name. That's
Dark Demon Blood, Soulsborne, Kiro. Shadows Die Twice.
Oh yeah, Kiro. Fuck, Sekiro's in it now too.
Yeah, and soon to be Elden Ring. That name's gonna be a clusterfuck.
No,
I'm so excited.
That requires
for
the game to actually come out, though.
That is true.
Yeah, they're pretty good about releasing games, though, unlike other studios.
I don't know.
Yeah, they're pretty consistent. Yeah.
The problem is they have George R. R. Martin actually attached, so who knows?
He's only writing the lore, though, so
anything could happen.
That's pretty much just him like finding like a sticky note and writing like
Still,
gods are old.
It's gonna take him a long time.
Whenever those like outside of video games guys come into video games, it always fucks with them. Like Guillermo del Toro coming into PT and getting Silent Hills canceled. Come on.
Well, at least he appeared in Death Stranding in appearance only.
Oh God, did he? I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, he appears in there, but apparently Kojima and Junji Ito might be working together for a horror game.
Wow.
Like to make up for Silent Hills.
So there was like PT initially was supposed to be and I'm not even sure how true this is because like it's very hard to find like real sources for it, but it was supposed to be a collaboration between Kojima, Del Toro, and Junji Ito, who are like three of my favorite creators ever.
Yeah, those are some big names right there.
And then apparently Ito fell through. Like it seemed to be like maybe a talks thing, but then like I don't know his actual involvement in PT, but yeah, Death Stranding, Guillermo del Toro. He doesn't play his character. They like digitized him in the game and they use his likeness, but some other actor plays as him.
Weird.
And it's real fucking weird. They did the same thing for Nicholas Winding Refn, who, if you've seen the movie Drive, he's the director of Drive.
Oh, okay.
He plays Heartman. Well, he doesn't play Heartman in the game. They use his likeness for Heartman, and another actor plays him with a different voice, and it is so fucking weird.
That is very bizarre. That reminds me of in the end credits of Portal, it says thanks for the use of their face, and it credits the person who gave the face model for Chell, the main character, even though she doesn't talk or anything. And it's just what a strange thing to be credited for is for your face.
Yeah, not even likeness, it's just face.
Yeah. But I've been loving Bloodborne so much. I've been playing it
so good.
Night and day, and it's since I'm streaming it, I always have to normally I'm not a very like grindy like RPG player. Like I try to just sort of keep making progress when I'm playing on my own, but since I've been streaming it, it's like in between streams I want to play the game more, but I don't want to make a bunch of progress and like beat bosses and stuff. So I just kill like standard enemies over and over again. So we've got so many blood vials so many more blood vials than we'll ever need, and like we've got all the Titanite that we'll ever need to, I guess, Bloodstone Shards.
Bloodstone Shards.
It's kind of fun learning what everything's been renamed to.
Mm-hmm.
Bloodborne's actually my first Souls game that I think I played through in like to completion.
Mine too. It was the first Souls game that I played, but I've since gone back. The only one I haven't played is Demon Souls, but I own it, and I'm looking at it. I haven't opened it yet, though.
Oh, wow. Did you hear there's like a remake of that one coming out?
Yeah, I did, and I'm like, I'm kind of one of those assholes that's always really dubious of when they remake games.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely gonna I'm gonna play through the original first, and then it looks gorgeous. And for me, the big thing about Demon Souls that's a shame is like, they shut the servers down, and the like playing online was like apparently a big aspect of the game. So having that like reintroduced into the game of like that always online thing I think it's really cool that they're doing that with the remake. Yeah,
that's kind of what that was sort of the justification a lot of people gave for Dark Souls Remastered, which was kind of like, okay, it's just the same game again, but now people are going to be playing it, you know?
Exactly, yeah, and like I think they literally just updated the fire texture at the like every bonfire. That's literally all they did. But I bought it. I was like, yeah, fuck, I want to have it on my PS4 because right now like the PS4 is just the console that like every Souls game has been dumped onto.
Yeah.
So it's the one is, and I was really hoping they would do like a remaster of Demon Souls for PS4, but they didn't because every other Souls game I have on PS4, and it's like. I love that because, like, in 20 years, when I'm an old man, I can be like, I want to play Dark Souls 2, and I can just pull out my PS4 and then I'll play through all of them.
Yeah, I've always had kind of a since I didn't get Dark Souls Remastered, so I've never really experienced a Souls game while the multiplayer was like active. So I get that kind of what do they call it, like Ludo narrative shit, where I'm really walking around the remnants of like a once thriving world in multiple senses, you know, not just in terms of like the world or like lore design, but also there's no damn people here, and every once in a while I get invaded by somebody who's like a billion times better at the game than me and
just
has
an
like
elder god.
Has like all the best items, and this is like the one wizard that's still left playing casual Dark Souls.
I think it was about a year ago or so, they announced that they were going to make for PlayStation 4, because I think that's the only place you can play Bloodborne, actually.
Yep.
For now, yeah.
They announced there was going to be a like super cheap, like they were going to do a super big sale on it in the PlayStation Store. Or no, I think they made it free. It was
I think
free
so.
Games, and I would go on like the Discord or the Reddits and stuff, and like people were like, "Oh shit, this is gonna be like a new influx of players. It's gonna be like launch day again." And Sam and I, we did like we started a co-op playthrough during that, and it was awesome. It was like there were so many fucking like the little notes on the ground, and like it was just so cool. It was like the game was new life was breathed into it, which I just felt really lucky that I was able to experience that, even though I didn't get it on launch.
Yeah, I just remembered. The most recent thing we did, which was fucking awesome, was we beat Rom the Vacuous Spider. And now we can see all these giant, like, bug things on the buildings. We, like, walked out and I was like, fuck yeah! Like, this is the sort of shit I love. And very Dark Souls-y. And very Lovecrafty, too.
It was very weird, like, playing through Dark Souls 3, and then, like, I guess I had, like, something equipped, but, like, it would drag me into another person's game out of nowhere, no warning, to help them, like, kill an invading player.
Oh wow, yeah, some like weird covenant shit or whatever.
But like at the one point we all just like didn't kill each other, and we just like sat down and just like around a bonfire, like us and the enemy, and just sat there. I was like, this is weird.
You're fraternizing with the enemy.
I don't know, man. I don't question. I was new to this shit.
Did you know that there are actually references to JoJo in Dark Souls?
I don't know.
There's Black Iron Tarkus, who I'm pretty sure is a reference to Tarkus, and I know it's also a classic rock album, of course, or band or album. I think it's an album.
It's an album by Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Yes, that's it. Good old ELP. And then there's also in the part 1 manga, which they didn't go over this in the anime, but it was like that challenge that like the old warriors took, where they like have the rings, they put rings around their body, and they have to like beat people up that have the rings and take the rings and put them on their own armor, and it like gets super heavy.
Uh-huh.
There's a set of armor, I don't even remember what it's called in the game, that has like that same lore behind it. So I like to believe it is Lay Epic JoJo reference. I don't know.
I mean, honestly, it could be.
Yeah.
Anything could happen.
It's funny, like, one
Wouldn't
thing
be
I'm
surprised.
fascinated by with Miyazaki is, like, his... I'm sure you've heard, like, the way that he kind of, like, got his creative voice, I guess, or, like, when he was a child, he had all these English novels, but he couldn't read English. So, as he would read the novels, he would, like, he would make up definitions of words in between the words that he knew. And I think, like, you can tell that, like, the video game worlds that he creates are just so... They're, like, so inspired by, like, classic... like medieval tradition, but there's so many weird eccentricities. Like, Dark Souls 1 has like the whole like sewers area and like the what's it called? The
Gaping Dragon.
Something like the Gaping Dragon is like a great example. Like that totally does not feel like it's a dragon, but it doesn't feel like anything Western. Like it's such a cool mixture of the two.
Yeah, and honestly, I hate to keep trying to be so cohesive here, but Dark Souls and JoJo kind of have a similar thing going on where they're Western things sort of pushed through the filter of Japanese insanity, and I think that's a really good mix. Is sort of that distorted view of another culture. You can get some. It's almost like outsider art, you know, where you can get a good new perspective on these sorts of things that we're normally familiar with. And like, I remember when I was younger, if you asked me, you know, do I like Victorian like vampire werewolf setting or like medieval sword dragon fight blah 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 setting, I'd be like, that's dumb, give me Star Trek or something like that. And but now I'm like, oh yeah, oh what a cool cathedral, you know, which is my interests have totally changed thanks to those sorts of things.
I totally
Game of
agree.
Thrones really helped a lot. Like a lot of that fantasy stuff become like super popular and cool now. Also.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's true.
I just gotta ring at the doorbell.
Do you need to answer that?
No, my housemate's getting it.
Do you not have the now recording light outside your door?
Yeah, I put a sock on the doorknob.
That's the podcast rule right there.
Shit, I wanted to say something. I just really love those games so much. I think there's so much care put into a lot of it, and I think it's really hard. I think Dark Souls is my favorite of like that series. Like I think Dark Souls 1 is just like it's kind of like a game that it feels weird that it even happened. Like there's so many incredible elements of that game that I can just play that like so even though it has like the clunkiness and the you can't do multi-directional rolling, which is like
Yeah.
it's a big thing you have to get used to.
Fucking Dark Souls 2 has like the worst. You can roll in like 8 directions or something like that. It's awful.
Yeah. Dark Souls 2 is weird, but I like Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, they're all good. But I get what you mean. It's Dark Souls 1 is that kind of like flawed masterpiece vibe to it. I feel like there's a certain class of creators that kind of make things that are really prolific but also kind of sloppy, like Stephen King, you know? And kind of Hirohiko Araki is sort of the same way. I guess Dark Souls is a little less, like Miyazaki is a little less similar, because there's a little more polish and like things feel very thought out in Dark Souls and stuff like that. But I mean, fucking Araki is he's like the Stephen King of anime, where he just pukes out whatever like random crap is inside of him, and we're all like, we all just like suck that shit up like ravenous beasts. Like we love it.
And more consistent Stephen King.
Yeah, true.
Less cocaine.
Yeah, let's say less coke.
There might be some coke though.
There might be. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I would assume there must be a ton of cocaine in the writers' rooms of all these manga, because how else are these guys fucking pumping out this much content? It's insane.
Yeah, I think one of you guys mentioned on a recent episode potentially that, or maybe it was X-Forts, that he does have assistants. Like whenever I think of Araki, I'm always like, oh, it's Rohan. He shakes his pen and then the manga happens. But so he does have people doing like backgrounds and shit for him, right? something like that.
From what I've seen, yeah, I think I mentioned that in one of the recent ones, and someone, I should have looked into the source, but someone commented and said like, yeah, there's been something said that he, his assistants do like the backgrounds more so than not, but
probably part of the reason why it takes so long.
It's really funny because that's kind of like one of those like hidden aspects of manga, because it seems like they always want to like put forward the ideas like, oh no, Ichiro Oda is One Piece. Like Ichiro Oda does One Piece by himself, which is totally not true. Like these guys have teams of assistants, and of course the assistants probably don't have like much creative input, but they're still there and they're still like pumping out work.
The drones.
There's not to keep going off about this because I just find it really interesting. There's this manga that I really, 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 really love called Innocent. It's actually being scanslated, or been scanslated, it's finished, by the same team that does JoJo. What is it called? Hiwa Mata no Boru?
Yeah, the sun will rise again.
Yes, they actually scanslate it too. I'm trying to find the author's name. I think it's like Hold on. But whatever. Sakamoto. Shinichi Sakamoto. So this manga is like some of the most gorgeous art I've ever seen in my fucking life. It's set during the French Revolution, and every character has like these extremely elaborate costumes and gowns and shit. And it's just really good. I'm posting some of the art in the chat.
Yeah, I'm Googling it too. Oh, wow.
But I can't remember the name. There's this really cool channel on YouTube that goes into like the Japanese creators, and they do these really incredible interviews with creators, and they did one with him, and he was so transparent with his team, and like he wasn't just like, oh, the faceless assistants. He was like, everyone on my team has like a very like distinct role. Like the one girl is totally responsible for all the costuming, and like she has like a huge wardrobe full of these like costumes that she can put on and like take pictures of herself and like draw.
Model for manga. Yeah. Wow.
And like she's like like the clothing person, so she's doing like all that herself. And there's one other guy that does like all the background, and it's just like, I thought it was so refreshing to see how open he was about having a collaborative team, not more so like, oh, these are like my assistants that just ink for me when I finish doing the rough sketches. Yeah,
and then we haven't even got into the colored team as well.
Very true.
Which is a whole nother can of worms, because then you start bringing in the questions of authorial intent, and because Araki has always said that colors are not canonical, but then there's certain things where it's like, well, if this color is what it's supposed to be, then that's like a hint towards like when you're like trying to solve the puzzle of some of these more recent parts that are very like sort of convoluted. And it's like you'll see something that I'm trying to think. There was like a specific example where it was like, well, if the coloring team really knew Araki's intent, then this is a hint towards like some future thing, but probably not, because they probably didn't know that.
No,
they probably just made water blue.
Yeah, there's one example that I think is like a clear illustration of this. Is there's the scene in part 6 where Dio and Pucci have a flashback, and they're like hanging out in bed together, like in between makeout sessions, I would assume. Of
course.
And the whoever chose the coloring for that scene made the outside sky blue.
Right, and then that was it. Yeah.
People are like, but Dio is a vampire, and he would die if he was in the sun. It's like, yeah, well, Araki didn't draw the colors for the scene, so
yeah.
It's like, yeah, you have to. I think that's a perfect.
Isn't he also technically inside?
Yeah, but he was like, the window would have like, if it was actually sunlight, he would have been exposed.
Hey man, the rules of JoJo vampires are weird. Like that one time he just had a reflection.
That's true.
Was it ever established that JoJo vampires specifically don't have a reflection? I feel like they're just kind of because they're also kind of like werewolves. They're like a mishmash of all sorts of Western garbage.
Apparently in part 1 he didn't have a reflection at one point, and then in part 3 there's like a page where he's in front of a mirror and has a reflection.
Yeah.
It's just, it's funny. But yeah, like that's one thing I wanted to say earlier that I forgot about, and what you were saying, how like, back when you were younger you thought like, fantasy, like, like this kind of thing is kind of like blasé, like I don't really care about it. I'm kind of the same way. Like I used to think vampires were kind of lame, and like like, especially when Twilight came out, it's like, oh, these vampires are so lame. Like, oh, they sparkle.
That's
lame. But now, like, vampires are like some of my favorite vampire stories, like some of my favorite stories, because you can do like so many interesting things with that trope of like this immortal character that is like a villain, but they're also a recluse, and I don't know. I fucking and the aesthetics of like Victorian vampire stories are just fucking cool looking.
I mean,
definitely. It's like
the wacky vampire powers. I mean, there's also it's probably the wackiest vampire powers that were there. That wasn't just suck blood and mind control, and he had like eye lasers and could freeze you with touching his skin, and
he can control his body temperature so powerfully that he can like lower it insanely. It's really fun, and it has like that kind of classic shonen appeal or structure where it's like Dio's powers progress so quickly, and it's about like using his weird vampire powers in fun ways.
And like Diego was kind of like it was like a werewolf kind of like zombie kind of thing where he could like basically spread his infection, but it was like more turning into a creature.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I don't know. You said he has like eye lasers. I don't know about that, but I do know he has Space Ripper stingy eyes, which is of course what you were referring to, right? Everybody knows it's called Space Ripper Stingy Eyes.
That's his proper
name. And they're
name.
Actually not lasers. They're not actually lasers.
They're
they are
water.
highly pressurized eye fluid that shoots out of his eyes.
It's piss.
Sometimes you shouldn't have like what it actually is explained.
No, I think it is infinitely more interesting that Dio, his version of eye lasers is highly pressurized eye goop that he shoots out so much it tears through everything.
Oh, this Jonathan, I made this one out of my tears, and then he just like shoots bullets.
Wow.
Yeah, it's actually just how Dio cries. It's kind of like the whole Superman thing where it's like Superman wants to have sex with Lois Lane, but he needs to wear a kryptonite condom, otherwise it would destroy her.
Is that true?
That was a Kevin Smith idea for a story, I think. He like wrote a Superman story that was like a comic, I think.
I mean, there's dumb things. Like, Superman also has to shave with his eye lasers because his hair is just so damn strong. There's there's one comic where Spider-Man gave Mary Jane cancer because his radioactive semen gave her cancer.
Oh my god, he's got the little spider sperm walking around on like 8 legs.
It wasn't a canon story, but it was like a what if, like future story, like old man Spider-Man.
Okay, so I looked up the Kryptonite condoms thing. Sam, you're a fake fan of Mallrats, because that is a conversation they have in Mallrats.
The entire conversation, they talk more so about like Marvel, like genitalia. They talk about a lot of genitalia comic book stuff.
I don't know. You're getting pretty defensive about your lack of Mallrats knowledge.
But do you want to talk about like him asking about like the fucking Thing's dick and like Mr. Fantastic's dick? There's a lot of dick talk in that movie, Jim.
Oh god.
Yeah, that's why it's shitty and I hate it.
The original...
Mr. Fantastic stretching out his mile-long dick. My god.
I've thought about this before. Wouldn't it not be the most amazing power ever? Because like, you know when you're in bed and you're like, oh, I have to pee, but I don't want to get up. I'm so comfy. You could just like stretch it out and like go to the toilet, or even if you don't want to get too gross, just stretch out your lower half and like just sit on the toilet. You don't have to get up out of bed. You can stay all comfy in bed without getting all cold.
Imagine you're just like you're just like walking around your own house and you just see a like phantom extending penis come out of the door and just go into the bathroom.
You don't have the
and you hear like the toilet flush
outfit.
And you hear the sink run and then it just recedes.
It washes itself.
Yeah, it's got. I mean, it's not just gonna not wash your penis.
I don't expect you to have the Fantastic Four stretching costume, so you're just having your dick just extend out like that.
Ugh, that is such a disgusting image. I'm actually sick to my stomach.
This is a great JoJo podcast where we talk about stretching your dick out across your house.
I told you these ones get derailed.
Yeah, Rubber Soul
easily.
could do it. Yellow Temperance, wasn't his name Rubber Soul? He could do it if he wanted to.
Well, he could do it with his like slurm. I'm trying to think. There's got to be a stretchy guy.
Could Dio just turn his dick into a dinosaur if he wanted to?
Oh my god. He did make awfully specific like lamp dinosaurs or whatever.
Okay, not to get too weird, but that feels like a fetish almost. Like I feel like it is someone's fetish to be turned into like a dinosaur lamp.
Oh yeah. Oh, totally. That particular part, I got the exact same feeling where he like made those, and I was like, I just got that like jaded, like world weary feeling where I'm like, oh god, somebody's turned on by this. Somebody's like, fuck yeah. I want to be a dragon lamp. Fuck yeah, deal. It's just, ugh. You always know. And it's like when you see, like, Scarlet Valentine, Lucy Steele face-sitting and stuff, you're like, no, Araki, no.
Yeah,
like, I don't know if you know about this, Araki, but someone is definitely enjoying this more than they should be.
Someone's like, editors, yeah, she just totally wanted to sit on her face. It's great.
I can't wait.
Just like, and how old is this character?
That's not important.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Gets to that part. That's just gonna be like a massive, like, so many people are gonna be like, huh?
When Lucy comes back in JoJolion, the flashback, like, let me tell you about a time I've had with the First Lady.
Yeah, she just showed up in Chapter 99. I really liked the idea of Chapter 100 is like a total flashback, like Zuko Alone type thing, where we have fucking Lucy Steele doing like weird international espionage with the Holy Corpse. That would be awesome.
Buddy.
So bad.
My boyfriend turned into a dinosaur. That's rough, buddy.
Do we have any...
that would be so fucking cool.
Do we have any like predictions on what the hell is going to happen in Chapter 100? I mean, it's like 14 days away now. Do you think it's going to be like an extra special thing?
Because like from what the chapters have all been like, well, at least going through like 3 major things for the most part for like every chapter. So like, and we had like the last one was like flashback of Toru, flashback of Planet Praiser, and then back to the room in general. So like, I'm still thinking it'll cut to Yasho and then in the main team, and then I think they're gonna be the big thing of what's something happening to Jobin, because it's been a while since we've seen these courts.
Jobin exists. Jesus.
I think we are due for the reveal that Jobin didn't actually die 4 chapters ago.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, after this last chapter, I'm so hesitant to make any prediction.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, Araki can just do what he wants. For me, my prediction would be, this is unrealistic. I want to see Lucy Steele. Like, I want to see something with her. Maybe not the whole chapter, but like if we get like a couple more pages, I just am dying to know like what she did. Like, when was that in the timeline? Was that before Johnny had arrived to Japan, or was it after?
Yeah. There's so many timeline questions that sort of need answering.
A lot of theories are just like she's the agent they sent to recover the corpse parts and bring them back.
I don't know about that, because they showed the agents, right? Wasn't there like a little panel and one of them had like funny Valentine hair, something like that?
I don't think so.
Was this in the Johnny Joestar chapter, or am I misremembering?
I don't even remember.
It may have been.
I really need to go through part 8 again.
Or it may have been during the story of Johnny Joestar, but I'm pretty sure they mentioned like.
I know they mentioned the agents coming over to get it, but I don't know. It would be cool if it turned out that Lucy Steele played a bigger role in it. I guess she kind of was, she was the most in the know at the end of part 7. She was like right goddamn there next to that like vault when it sealed.
Yeah, like her and Johnny probably
like
know about it the most for them. Like, I'm thinking, right?
Yeah, because like if you think about it, like everyone else that would have known about it is like dead or unable to do anything, or they're like trapped at the bottom of the Hudson Bay forever, never dying. So she is the one character with like the most power, and it doesn't seem like Johnny would care about that kind of thing. Like he always seems so disconnected from like anything that wasn't his own personal journey. So she stands to be the one that would really like fill that power vacuum and just kind of do some shady shit.
Unless you told Steven, but like I don't know.
Steven's pretty impotent though.
Yeah. Speedwagon, you mean?
Yeah, clearly, because their names start with S or whatever. And they're like assisting the main characters. Jeez, I don't know.
They tease us for that, but I think just as the tease, we're not going to get that flashback to a bit later.
You know what I really want to see is the thing when... Oh my god, somebody just screamed outside my house. The thing that Lucy Steele saw where it like whisked her out the fireplace or whatever. That one, it was like it was one of the like guardians of the Holy Corpse that had angel wings, and you see it. It's such a jank looking thing. I like when I look at the panel, I see like the wings, and then I don't know what the fuck I'm even looking at when I see like the rest of it. And I've studied that one panel so much, I'm just like, what the hell is this? Like, I hope we see that again, or some sort of more concrete explanation on what that is besides it's a guardian of the Holy Corpse.
Mm-hmm.
That made me super curious. There's a ton of shit, I guess. What the fuck is with the baby? Like, now that we know that tiny rock humans are literally tiny and the size of a fucking, like, dime, now we know it's deconfirmed that that baby is any rock human. So it's like, fuck, what is happening? It's like that and the bite marks are the most baffling ones. Like, the other ones with, like, the Devil's Palm and the soil of Morio and stuff, that all seems to be kind of falling into place. But, like, some of these things are just like, huh?
So one prediction I think I forgot to say, and I wanted to say it last episode, but since now we know that rock humans kind of just like they come out of their childhood like fully formed and like with a total knowledge of their goals and things, I think that there's like a non-0% chance that during like the climax of this part we see a character just come out of nowhere that was a newly emerged rock human. Maybe this wouldn't be like a main villain, obviously, but it would be like.
I was gonna say that's how it felt when Toru showed up.
Yeah, true. But I can imagine that being like a chocolate disco kind of arc where it's like the bad guys are throwing everything they've got against the main characters, and that's just like a really interesting like combat encounter with like a fresh rock human, basically.
I mean, there were in the Toru flashback, there were 2 other rock humans that came out with him.
Yeah.
So
what the fuck was up with his little harem of other rock people? That's another big question. And where the hell is his ass?
It was too powerful.
That is actually, I didn't even think about that, but for them to all emerge at the same time, they must have all been born at the same time, because they would have had to have like gone on their same like Hornet journey.
I want to know, like, the twins somehow were, like, together.
Oh, God.
During the entire thing.
They had to eat 2 beehives.
Both inside the 2 queens.
The hell?
Yeah, that's
like
so twin queens.
Poor Tom, like, did he just never grow? Like, was he, like, barely grew?
That's actually a really interesting idea. Or, like, he was a little baby, and he's like, oh, finally, tomorrow I get to grow big and become an adult. And then he just gets a little fatter.
And, like, gets a ton of wrinkles and shit. He's like, fuck. Gets a tie, like, emblazoned on his chest. He's like, cool, thanks.
He is the most well-laid character in Part 8, though.
That is true. I will never forget the eternal quote, poor Tom canonically fucks.
I have the voice of Danny DeVito whenever he talks. Like,
oh, yeah.
Oh,
you better be played by Danny DeVito in the JoJolion anime that will exist in 40 years.
God, what was the one thing everybody wanted Danny DeVito to be the voice of? Detective Pikachu. Yeah. It's gonna be like that all over again, but with JoJo fans, so it'll be 10 times worse.
So yeah, and it'll be exactly what happened with me, where I was like, the first time I heard it, like, oh, that's a funny idea, and then hearing it nonstop for 3 years is like, I want any other actor but Danny DeVito to play this, because just to make people angry.
Yeah, honestly, when Part 5 came out, I had like a similar thing, the anime, because everybody was like, guys, what if, alright, hear me out, at the end of every episode, they play Gangsta's Parent. Do you get it? Do you get it? Because they're gangsters. Because they're gangsters. No, I don't think you understand.
Was it All-Star at the end of Part 4?
But, and then, of course, it wasn't Gangster's Paradise. And everybody was like, come on, he missed such a missed opportunity. I'm like, no, they have class. They're not just going to be like, oh, it's gangster because they're gangsters and it's a gang. I get it.
And it's fucking Araki who picks it. So, of course, Araki's going to make the best choice because it's what he was inspired. He always picks music that I think he was like inspired by at the time or like listening to.
Yeah, I seem to remember reading about that.
That's why I'm hoping with Part 6 we get Snoop Dogg, because I think he was really into Snoop Dogg at the time.
Yeah.
Which would be fucking hilarious to get a Snoop Dogg ED in my JoJo anime.
My gut, I'm thinking it's gonna be No Doubt for some reason.
I don't even know that one.
Like Gwen Stefani. It's gonna be a Gwen Stefani's band.
Yeah, before Gwen Stefani had Holla Back Girl. What song did they do? They had Spiderwebs. Before she had the other big No Doubt song?
Before she had the Holla Back Girl, she was just the girl.
Oh yeah, Just a Girl. That's the big song. I'm just a girl.
I hate No Doubt.
Yeah, they're not that good. Sorry, Gwen. I know you're a fan.
Wow. Well, I think I just want to lay out my, like, now that I've criticized people for wanting a certain ending, I'm going to say what ending I want for part 6, which is Genius of Love by Tom Tom Club. If you look at the lyrics, it's that one that goes whap 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 whap. I don't know if you ever heard, but it's a great song. It's by
play it really. Oh, I love this song.
Yeah, but it has lyrics talking about life in heaven and a girl in jail with her boyfriend on the outside. And I think one of the opening lyrics is, "What you gonna do when you get out of jail? I'm gonna have some fun." I think it works, but and it's not quite as much of a. It's like if you fucking like use Jailhouse Rock or something like that.
I was
not
thinking
quite as
Jailhouse Rock.
obvious of a reference, you know. But so that's my hope. I know it's probably not going to happen, but if part 6 comes out and it's Genius of Love, I'm going to pop off.
This is so perfect. This is like, to me, like if Walk Like an Egyptian got in, then like this is totally like in line with that, I think.
Walk Like an Egyptian is a fucking awesome ending.
It's so good.
It's perfect.
It's just like it is so perfect.
Captures the energy of the Crusaders really well.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the Part 3 anime, but like, damn, they sure picked a genius one with that.
I really like small touch for the anime. Particularly the anime was, I really like how they sort of fixed up a bunch of little things, like giving the tattoo or the birthmark to Jonathan and Joseph and shit like that. And they had, and the arrow shows up in Part 3 a couple times, and especially in the ending, in Walk Like an Egyptian, at the very beginning of it, it shows that arrow bouncing around to all these different places, and I always kind of imagine that that's all the stand users being created, you know, sort of, or representing that.
Oh, that's great. That's so cool.
I remember, I especially knew that because, as we talked about, I started with part 4 and then watched all the other parts. So I was like, oh, that's the stand arrow, and I didn't even really realize that I wasn't supposed to know about that because that's really revealed in part 4.
That's so funny. Well, that's I think the coolest part about the JoJo anime, and what I would point to is like the EP and ODs, or the OPs, the EPs and ODs, the OPs and EDs of the JoJo anime are like by far my favorite thing to come out of that adaptation, because they're able to condense like all of these like incredible moments and these little references and nods, and it just feels so perfect, especially because like when an OP is made, they devote like so much money and time into it, so it always looks like impressive, and it's just like the perfect thing that you could hope for out of JoJo.
A lot of people miss the CG ones.
Yeah, the CG ones are cool. I like the
cool.
the old style, and they always, like you said, they always have those cool details, like the in Stardust Crusaders. I think it's the Stand Proud intro. Where there's the 5 stars going to the horizon, and then there's another star that sort of like collides with them. That's supposed to be Iggy.
Yeah,
shit like that. I'm always like, and it makes it so rewatchable too, because in the ones with like part 4, especially, where they just show a ton of characters, and you're like, I don't know who the fuck any of these people are at the beginning, and then as you're watching it, you're like, oh, that's what that is. Oh, I get it.
Like Crazy Noisy Bizarre Town had like flashes, like silhouettes of like, all the stand users, at least like the early ones.
Yeah,
and they sneak Akira really in too, like real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I think you cut out for a sec.
Probably.
But yeah, no, that one's awesome. And I love how they sneak Akira in. Like he flashes by really quick, even though like you don't even meet him until like halfway through or so.
Yeah, about halfway.
Yeah, and it's like the world showing up in Stand Proud for like in like a reflection for like a second or something.
The one thing that I always thought was just like so fucking cool is, I think it's like the first image that you see in the Sonochino Sadame is JoJolion, like, because they do that really cool thing where it goes back from like all the original universe characters, like these manga panels, and then it hits like Jonathan, and it's just like, that's the thing I love so much about JoJo, is that like legacy, and like the EDs or the OPs are perfect for tying the whole like legacy in, and like
the generational aspect.
Even the there's like a live performance or in Great Days version where like all the OP singers, they come together and sing it all, and it's so good.
Yeah, I remember one of the parts that really, when I was like watching, I think this was when part 5 was first coming out. It was like when Koichi is like calling back to. By the way, how about that Koichi in part 5, huh? I was so hopeful when part 5 started. I was like, oh, Koichi's gonna be a main character. Oh, never mind. But he's like calling Jotaro, and Jotaro's like, oh, what's up with that Giorno Giovanna guy, or Haruno Shobana. Sorry. And Koichi's like, well, he seems kind of weird, but he's got that same. He's like, when I look into his eyes and when I see what he does and how he acts, I see the legacy of the Joestars, and like he carries himself the same way that he did all those other great people that I met, and it like shows Giorno like I think he's like crouching over like Mario's dead body or something, and it shows like Josuke and Joseph and Jotaro, they're like silhouettes above him. I was like, yeah, fuck yeah! Just feels so good to see that sort of like payoff.
It is really awesome, and it's just like that's such a perfect thing because like going back and looking at JoJo, I think it's interesting how Araki transitions each part into like the new protagonist, and like they always get like that introduction scene. And Giorno is like the most far removed from the legacy or like the Joestar bloodline. So having Koichi bridge the gap and be like, so Koichi, someone who has met every other JoJo except Jonathan, being able to say, wow, like this is it. Like I still see that spark. It's just perfect. It's awesome.
Araki also really loved Koichi by like how part 4 went. So.
Oh, he's a precious boy. Except he does get gaslit and tricked and into a horrible relationship.
He got brainwashed by Stan to fall in love with a psychopath.
Yeah, that's a big improvement from part 4 to part 8, is like the shittiest relationship ever in part 4, and then part 8 is like so much more nuanced and sort of realistic than that. It's almost like he's making up for it, And
they're like, wow, I totally dig this married couple that's the husband obsessed with her nose that looks like a beetle to him, and then they have sex with a beetle on their bed. How romantic.
Yeah. It's fucking incredible.
I love Mitsuba so fucking much.
Mitsuba, and another thing too, like Mitsuba is such a fucking recent character, but she's so great, and I love her.
So good.
Yeah, she's kind of a beehole, but like that's what makes these characters compelling. Is they're not perfect Mary Sues. Like that whole scene where she was, I think the perfect establishing scene was her on her way to get like cosmetic surgery. And she's waiting in the elevator, and there's like an old lady coming up to the door, and she just hits the button a bunch of times.
Oh, it's so good. It's such a fun because like we see her character like in that arc, like you're rooting for her because you end up learning about her like she makes this like pretty big sacrifice where she's like, oh my god, I'm a mother.
Yeah.
Like, well, she's already a mother, but she's like, I'm gonna be a mother again, so I need to save my child.
Oh my god.
And, yeah.
I hope
the tiny fetus. Hold on. I'm sorry, Sam.
I was gonna say, I hope it cuts in the future with her like telling the story. Like, there's one point where you were dust, and then I absorbed you back into my womb.
Well, I was gonna say, what if that's a little rock human instead of a fetus? It's a little rock human.
God!
So
and it's tiny because they're tiny.
Okay, well, I mean, it was also like just happened, I think, and I'm not sure if they since they're so small, they don't show that they're pregnant. I want to guess, or as much.
Maybe. Well,
maybe
okay,
they just like get a bunch of them like a spider, and they just shoot them out like a Gatling gun.
All right, wait. So here's the one key detail that my brain's bringing up. So the one detail we know about the rock human birth is that they give birth in the spring and summer months. So
what season?
I mean,
I don't know what season it is in JoJolion right now.
So it hasn't been confirmed, but it's like highly likely due to the timeline that we are in September still. So I mean, hey, 6 months from September would be spring. So
but
I think right. That's how months work.
I still want to see because like, I'm wondering if Toru or something has like an ability to like absorb back into someone like he did with the Bug Queen or something. Because like I'm just thinking like what's happening to Tsurugi. I'm like, did maybe Toru like absorb back into Tsurugi and like controlling him there or something like that? Like because the whole symbiotic absorption thing kind of just like had me thinking a lot.
And there's this whole like connection between the rock humans and the rock disease that is there some sort of like force that they can exert over Tsurugi to like make this exacerbate or to like turn him?
Yeah, the only thing that threw me off is just Tsurugi like acting up before Toru even set foot on the estate.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the baby drowning in the fountain kind of whole incident, and like...
Yeah. Good God. There's just so many... It's like every single time he like answers some sort of question, it's like there's 3 more new questions that need answering, you know?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And now,
which is why we love it.
Now we have the whole Planet Praiser flashback, and like that
like,
the rock insect. Which one did he see? Was it the one he's fighting right now?
I don't want him to die.
I don't want him to either, but I like that everybody's like, well, Araki's gearing up. He's getting out his old 12 gauge and bringing Mamazuko around the back, and he's got his tears in his eyes. He's like, I love you, Mamazuko.
Gonna go home, we're gonna eat some margarita pizza with some fresh tomatoes and...
It feels so tragic to me that like Mamazuku he's such a recent character too, and like he feels like a child to me in the story. It's like, oh no, he's like our new friend that we just met in like chapter 68.
Remember when he made that guy kill
himself? He's gonna die now. Oh yeah, I forgot.
Great time.
I guess he is kind of a dastard.
I mean, yeah, he was. He was a murderer, but still, he still made a man commit suicide.
Hey, he also made a fork arm crossbow, okay, so that makes up for it.
You have to blow up his home that was a ski lift.
Good God. Yeah, like, for instance, with the alternate universe thing, when that chapter happened and everybody was like, oh, he's Superfly! And then they were like, no, wait, I think he's Rohan? No, wait, I think he's Jolin? And I'm like, he's Mamazuku.
So what if he lived on that ski lift because he was afraid to, like, live on his estate, or like just on the ground because of a rock animal that he went to investigate, like, or just like anything, like he just had like a childhood fear, just like
that tracks,
maybe.
Honestly.
Just like, and like now we know the head doctor is like heavily attached to it, or Toru's gonna be heavily attached to him now. Good
God, the whole like the bug. I don't know where the fuck he's going with this bug thing.
The rock insects, yeah.
I kind of hope that it gets wrapped up kind of soon, but I'm also very curious because I feel like I always thought that maybe Toru had some sort of relation to the hair clip that like fucked with Yasuo. In her childhood. I always felt like maybe there was something to do with that or some sort of connection, and now that we see Toru has been active in other characters' lives as well and sort of meddling with them with a different rock insect, I think it's a little more likely, but I don't know.
I think me and Jim talked about it before, where like it definitely affects the memory, and like maybe he has made her think that she dated him, and it was just weird because, you know, why did he pick her? Did he just randomly fascinate with her? Like, we have that whole thing.
Because it would be perfect from like that perspective of like he's able to completely just indoctrinate someone without even having to put forward the effort of like years of a relationship. He could just like sick the bug on her and like create these false memories, and then he has her as like a trump card to
leave her
with
her gamer mom.
Yeah, I forgot about her gamer mom. Just like her gamer mom forgot about her.
She's not important.
Right, she had like a PS4 or something like that.
Yeah, she's like playing like PlayStation.
I'm just happy that you said indoctrinated in reference to the head doctor. I was just smiling, a big smile that whole sentence because of that.
Totally unintentional.
But there's so many questions. They were like 100 chapters deep, and it just doesn't feel like the wild ride will end, even though like we're not really getting any more new characters introduced. Like,
sorry, but what was that? Can you repeat that, Sam?
I said we still have so much left to go. Was how many like how much we still have left to answer, and
yeah,
it's true.
We still have. We're like, I don't know. It didn't seem like there's no new characters really being introduced. Like, even like Planet Praiser's dad, it was just like a picture, I think, or like not even.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's the cool thing about what I like in the JoJolion flashbacks is that we just keep getting like, even this last chapter, like we saw like younger versions of the Higashikata kids again. Like, I really like that it's not like we're adding so many characters, but we're just fleshing out or re-incorporating all of our known characters.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta say, something that you guys pointed out that I was like, whoa, that totally makes sense, is when it showed in that one chapter, it's like chapter like 81 or 83 or whatever, that showed the flash forward of Narisuke. dead, it was like it showed there was a brief shot of a chessboard, and it was like something about your like stand ability evolving, and I was like, oh, I didn't really realize, but I think it was either you guys said it or X-Force or something said, oh yeah, Daya with California King Bed could have made everyone forget about like the events that happened. So I'm just waiting for that shit to come out. I'll be really impressed again if that's like a real thing, because he was setting that up ages ago for those pieces to sort of fall into place.
That's like the first, it's like the second real arc actually. Like
after Fun.
Mm-hmm. But no, I think that was on this podcast, but I think it was one of our guests. It might have been like Mastermind, I think, actually. I don't know, but yeah, I remember when someone said that to me, I was like, holy shit, like that totally explains the flash forward, like.
Yeah. I mean, and I still kind of totally be a total like curveball and like nothing like we predicted.
Yeah, I'm still in the camp of the Tsurugi has the power to control other stands like theory, where it seems like he's able to use Nut King Call.
The tongue.
Yeah. So, and maybe he's able to manipulate California King Bat as well. I mean, we know that Tsurugi's going to be heading towards like a heel turn. Like it's pretty much set in stone. No pun intended.
Are you using wrestling terms now? I'm so proud of you.
But yeah, I don't want Tsurugi to be bad. I love him. He's a precious little boy who's suffering.
I can't wait for him to beat a child in the end of part 8.
Gappy has to punch a kid. He's been waiting for this, practicing.
That's everybody's demands to have a distinctive main villain are going to culminate in child abuse.
You wouldn't have a child, would you, Gappy? And he pulls out the shovel. Yup.
That's fucked up, because he fucked up that person with that shovel. He like stabbed it in their face.
It's brutal.
He was very brutal in Hawaii to random civilians.
I was so sure. It was such a bummer to hear that it was a transcription error or like a translation error. That you know the thing I'm going to say, the you can be made to follow him line. Yes. Because I was so certain, you probably saw my comments on the videos, that it was going to turn out that he was going to go to Dolomite and ask and be like, make me follow after the head doctor unconsciously. I felt like such a clever boy for figuring that out, and then it turned out it was just a fucking transcription error. Whoops.
Everybody was so excited for that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was such a bummer, because I was also like, had it have been worded the way that it was, and like, I guess worded in the original Japanese. I'm trying to find it right now, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I think it actually was. Okay, I found it. So they had Josuke saying, I can't pursue him, but I can be made to pursue him.
Yeah.
But the actual translation that they ended up fixing was, I can't pursue him, but I can make him do the pursuing.
Yeah, which is totally different.
Yeah, totally different. Yeah, and it's so funny to me how, like, as you said, like, that one line triggered so many thoughts of, like, oh, where's this going to go? Like, oh, what other characters could this refer to? Yeah. And it's like, no, it's just people having really fun imaginations, unfortunately.
It's funny that, like, he had the characters that everybody doesn't automatically go into, and his fate was, like, still, like, open.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny, but, anyone can come back at this point.
I mean, we got the golden Pangea land.
Yeah.
The greatest character.
We got you.
Yeah, God.
Me.
Jim self-insert.
Yes. I should have bit the bullet and cosplayed him when that came out, because at the time I didn't have a big beard and I also had longer hair, and it would have been perfect. But
just like slap some like SpaghettiOs on your face for that acne. That was honestly like nauseating when he was like, "Oh yeah, your acne is now going to be the thing that gets replaced with like stone." Something about that gave me like trypophobia vibes. I was like, "Oh yeah, good."
And broke his neck.
Yeah, I love the way that his like, it was like the one vertebrae, like the atlas vertebrae that fell out, so his head just like topples. Oh, it was so creepy. I love it.
The human off switch has been hit. Yeah, I can't wait to see where this fucking bug goes.
I know.
I don't even know what it does. It's like asbestos, and it also goes through the floor. It also takes a sushi roller and makes a fucking catapult out of it. Oh, God. And that's just the bug. That's not even the fucking head doctor's. That's not starting to list his abilities, of which he has like 10 now.
He's just sitting there menacingly on the wall.
Yeah.
It's created this really awesome fight situation where the two people fighting aren't allowed to move. If they move, then bad things will happen.
The floor is lava.
Yeah. So that's where, to me, like, the way that I see this story progressing is, like, Johnny can't engage. Or sorry, Johnny, what the fuck?
He certainly can't with his head crushed under a rock.
And being, like, dust, literal dust in the ground. No, Josuke can't engage because now he's... I mean, they've both been affected by it, but Josuke can't engage because he'll get his exploding asbestos eyes. So it's going to have to be Rai. Rai is going to have to sacrifice himself to deal with the threat so that Josuke can... trigger his plan.
He'll pursue and just unravel himself, and then he'll just put himself back together like he did in Ozone.
Yeah.
I guess we can only hope that the head doctor, like, Josuke has to trigger the head doctor to get angry and, like, to make a wrong move. That's kind of the situation we're in right now, because Josuke's totally in, like, a passive position where he can't really act.
Yeah. I feel like the that image of the doctor, the head doctor, leaning out of the wall with his face turning into the Wonder of You stand, that's going to be, like, an iconic thing. That's going to be, like, Bites the Dust, sort of. That's going to be, like, what all the fan art is, like, replicating and stuff. Or maybe him floating in the air like that one painter.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, that shit was awesome. I remember when I saw that cover, I was like, oh, it's that one thing. And then I saw the X-Force chapter review, and I was like, yes, thank you, that thing. I totally knew about that, kind of.
I'm so smart. My brain is so big and swollen.
I knew about the Apple guy painting.
I love that. That's such an iconic painting.
Yeah.
With the Apple. What was I gonna say? Oh, but I really love that image of the head doctor, like, half phased through the wall. I think that's, like, I always love when characters can phase through things because it just makes really interesting images.
Yeah, that one shot of Whole Horse spinning his gun in his hand and it's, like, going through his fingers. So
that's
sick.
like one of my favorite parts of part 3.
Yeah, part 3 when Stans actually went through stuff. Now they kind of do sometimes, but it's like it's not nearly as much of a thing.
It's a pretty lax rule.
Yeah, it's like the new stand abilities are so crazy that, like, we can reach through walls is no longer, like, something cool and wacky. I feel like he wants to put less emphasis on that, maybe.
It's a gun.
Also true.
He can control it. He can control the bullets, though.
Faster than fucking Silver Chariot, by the way. Jesus.
I mean, if you say Tower Gray is faster than Star Platinum.
Yeah.
That is, it breaks the universe. Tower of Grey breaks the universe.
The Rock could totally take down Ultimate Cars.
I mean, maybe.
Let's not go down this rabbit hole.
if he can kill that squirrel, maybe, who knows?
My dream matchup is Bohemian Rhapsody versus Ultimate Cars.
Just all media ever made.
It would.
Yeah, it's like a big empty field, and it's just like thousands of different Mickey Mouses are charging at
Cars
him.
would win because he's like, I don't know any of these references. Not going
he
to
would just stand
affect
there
me.
baffled.
He'd be able to pull some bullshit out of his ass. Only Joseph Joestar can kill Cars.
True. And not even kill him,
Yeah.
just make him very uncomfortable for the rest of time.
I fucking hate those. I hope that Araki does not dish out another, like, Dark Shadows fate, where he I really hope that, like, at the end of part 8 we don't get another horrifying, they're trapped in eternal life, unable to die and unable to move
Fate worse than
scenario.
death.
Because he just loves those. He's like, boom, Ultimate Cars, boom, Angelo, boom, Magenta. Like, fuck, Araki, stop doing that.
They're really cruel. And one of the ones that I thought was the most interesting is, of course it doesn't actually happen, but Funny Valentine kind of goes through that for a bit, where he's being chased, like, the rotation is, like, he can't get away from it. So every time he like jumps into another reality, he's like being pulled underground and being crushed by rocks, and then it's like good for a few seconds, and then it's like, boosh. Oh, I thought that was really cool.
And it shows him trying to get out so many times that when he eventually just gives up and starts like swallowing dirt, basically, you're like, oh, it just feels so icky. It's like, oh, he like gave up hope, basically.
Yeah.
And he's like such a determined character, but he keeps getting sucked like a foot underground too. It's like so agonizing. Good God.
Yeah. Creepy. I really love like that shit near the end of part 7, and we'll probably see it again here where like reality bends around these like areas, like the part in like when Love Train is like culminating, like even though it takes place like right outside of Philadelphia, like the ocean is like moving because everything is compressing. Oh, I think that's
Rip
so
New
cool.
Jersey.
Yeah, we got deleted.
Yeah.
I really can't wait to see again if part 7 gets animated. Which I hate saying that because it's like a little bit of hope just left my heart. But I really wonder how they're going to animate that last part where like the ocean is just lapping at everyone's ankles for the end fight. Like that's such cool imagery in the manga. And like, when Johnny, like, I think it's like Valentine comes back and he like sees two of them like floating in the water and they're kind of like distorted, and Araki just draws that so well. It's like, how the fuck are they going to do that animated? Like, screw horses. How are they going to do the water scene at the end?
It would be heartbreaking if it was CG.
Yeah, or if it was like bad. You know, or it's like generally like, oh, this is just crappy.
That's the thing, like, I mean, not to shit on CG and anime, because there's some shows that look fantastic, but like Beastars I think looks incredible. But David Production doesn't have the best history with utilizing CG in their
Are you saying this part 5 cars didn't look good?
I think that's probably the most egregious one.
As long as they don't get the Berserk team to do it, we're good.
That's sad.
You don't get the clang.
It's a bummer. It's sad because like I feel like it's very much a growing pain situation because we have studios like Studio Orange that have proven no, it's just like you just have to kind of change the way that you animate things. You can't just animate things as if it was like regular anime because it looks janky, but you have to like use the models in a really fun way. Like, have you seen Beastars, Grayfruit?
I haven't. I'm familiar with it, but I haven't seen it.
It's really, really good.
I have heard you guys gush about it.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it. I don't think Sam has seen it.
No.
But so the one thing that's really interesting about the adaptation is the manga itself is very like sketchy and scratchy, and it doesn't have like an incredible presentation. Of course it's about like acting too. Like that's a big part of the early stories, like these actors on stage, and the anime goes like fucking ham with direction and like making these really interesting shots and doing things that you didn't see in the manga.
They kind of One Punch Man did.
Yeah, like with the remake. They completely change these like more simple ideas and make them like stand out in a different medium. It's really awesome.
Yeah. I've heard you guys talking about the CG in the past, and I will say I notice it, but it's never bothered me quite that much. Like the one that I really remember is at the beginning of part 5. There's like that tram car that Bruno and Giorno fight on. I was like, oh wow, that's like super clearly a 3D model. But like some of the other ones, I guess the soccer ball that Abakio like knocks down was also CG. But like a lot of the other things, they're like so in the background that I don't even notice. And maybe that's just I'm like less experienced of an anime viewer. I've seen a few, but I don't really have that kind of frame of reference. But I did see a movie called it was like The Boy and the Beast. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but it had
Mamoru Oshii, right?
Sure. I don't know much about it.
But I wanted to see it.
Yeah, it had CG. It was like in the background whenever there was like a crowd of people in the background, they were all CG characters, and it just looked dreadful. It was like they just looked terrible. It was just not well meshed in, and they all were like moving in really weird, like uncanny ways. They looked like Zelda NPCs almost. It was just really unnerving.
I have to correct this, otherwise someone will fucking decapitate me. It's not. I said Mamoru Oshii, who directed Ghost in the Shell. This is Mamoru Hosoda, who directed Summer Wars. Which, if you haven't seen Summer Wars, Jacob, definitely check that out. Sam, I know Sam hasn't seen either. Summer Wars is a movie that you guys would both, I think, totally love. It's such a fun movie.
Never heard of it.
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it yet though.
So this director, he actually directed there was like a Digimon movie that came out a couple years ago, like back when Digimon was a big thing, and it's known for being like really impressively directed, like even though it's just like a tie-in to Digimon.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of remade it, but without the Digimon name, and as this movie called Summer Wars.
Oh, interesting.
And it's just one of those movies, like, I think I actually watched it with my mom, and it's like one of those perfect, like, you can show this to anyone, and it's just like a fun time, and incredible animation, like really inventive sequences and ideas.
Nice.
Highly recommend.
Yeah, it looks cool. I'm looking at it on the Google Images.
This guy's a very accomplished director. He also did The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, which is a good one. He did Mirai, which I haven't seen yet. He's a good. We like Mamoru Hosoda.
Good boy. Yeah, I didn't like hate the movie, the Boy and His Beast, but I just remember that was the one time where I was like, damn, this CG sucks.
Yeah, and that's unfortunately like the worst part about the CG in anime is like growing up, like I've been watching anime my whole life, but like when you experience anime as just like 2D, even though anime most of the time does not look good, and like I'm putting that in quotes, like what I mean is like anime has very little motion. Most of the time it's just static characters. Like the way the characters walk is often like there's a lot of shortcuts taken is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But you're so used to seeing that like you don't see issues with it because that's the way the style presents itself.
Yeah.
But then when you add in like a really foreign element, like a fucking, it's in the anime Made in Abyss, which is a gorgeous anime. Like visually it looks incredible. I remember there's one shot in like the first episode where like you see the gorgeous town, that the fantasy town these characters live in, and there's one CG windmill, and it's just like a fucking eyesore. It moves at a different frame rate from the characters.
Oh, yeah.
Background windmill, and it's like ingrained in my memory to the point where I can't not think about it when I think about the first episode of that wonderful show.
Yeah, the different frame rate, that's when it really starts to stand out. I think of Futurama as a good example of CGI. I don't know if you ever have seen Futurama.
I love Futurama.
Yeah, whenever their ship takes off, I'm always like, you know what? I'll accept that because it's probably a total pain in the ass to animate that like complicated looking ship. But then,
and it's the cell shading, like they use cell shading for the CG in Futurama, so it fits in with the world.
And then you see fucking Akira, where every single frame of all these insanely complicated machines and buildings, like in perspective shots, are like moving around perfectly and are all hand drawn on like fucking sheets of paper by truly insane people, and it's just gorgeous.
I think I might have mentioned this before, but there's some YouTube video that I watched like over 5 years ago that I always think about whenever I think of Akira, and this guy is saying like this is my favorite part of Akira. It's a really short video, and he shows this like gorgeous background image of a whole like city, and he says, all right, take a look at this image, and then after like a second he's like, all right, you've seen this image for longer than it appears in Akira, and then he shows the scene that it takes place in, and it is like the third background element of a shot where two characters are walking. So you see this entire gorgeous background shot for like less than 1 second, and you don't even see the whole image because it's obscured by buildings, and it's just like the amount of care and effort that went into that movie is astounding.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing where you watch that and you're like, I just wish for like a perfect world where everything could have this much like love and effort put into it. But that's like a perfect. That's like a once in a lifetime type movie. Not just for a human, but for like all of humanity. It's like those sorts of things only happen once in a few blue moons, and when they do, you gotta treasure them.
The other one that comes to mind, and if you haven't seen this, like this is my homework to you. Like, go out and watch this movie like right now.
Is it Paprika?
Is Redline? Have you ever seen Redline?
Redline's fucking awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And everyone in the audience, if you haven't seen Redline and you are appreciative of these like hyper like detailed, like incredibly looking anime movies, like you cannot do better than Redline. Like every frame of that movie is a fucking gorgeous masterpiece.
And just the way it moves and captures whenever he like revs up his car to like full speed, and there's some like sort of like distortion effect where he like stretches out and then he like it's so well done. It's like screenshots don't even do it justice because you just need to see it all move. It's so fluid and amazing. Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah, it feels impossible, like because it's like the thing with like I guess I don't know how often this argument's made, but like people are like, oh, comic books can look more detailed than like animation because you aren't like animating the character 100 times every minute or whatever. But Redline does it. Like Redline looks like a comic book with the shading and the character designs are really like detailed, and it works. And like they proved it works.
Yeah, and it's got the best ending of any film ever. Fun fact.
Fuck yes. Fuck yes. I just watched that movie again recently, and I was like, it's just as good, if not better.
Yeah, it's pretty brilliant. It's kind of like I don't know if any of you ever played F-Zero. It's kind of like an F-Zero movie.
Yeah, it's like those actual more cars than flying hovercrafts.
Yeah, Falcon punches.
Yes, no.
I don't think Captain Falcon ever actually Falcon punches anyone in anything but Smash Bros.
Only in the cartoon he did.
Yeah, the anime. It's true.
But,
that's really funny. I've never played an F-Zero game, but they look really fun.
So we kind of need to wrap this up because I have to get ready for work because we've been going on for a while. Or I can just head out and you guys just keep going.
We're over
No,
time.
we can wrap this up.
Yeah, I'm good.
I was having so much fun, I forgot what time it was.
Yeah, going on almost 2 hours.
Yeah, I'm having a blast. Well, it just means I'll just have to come on another time. No.
Yeah,
that's
totally.
such a douchey thing. Is like, I mean, if you guys want to have me on again, but like inviting yourself on for the second iteration, come on.
Once new people stop responding to us.
Yeah, who do you think is the next? I mean, just very briefly, you guys got any other guys lined up for this?
No.
No, we kind of do these like off the cuff, and it's kind of like I like to see what our fans like and who our fans are talking about, and sometimes it leans that way, sometimes it leans in like other ways. Like funnily enough, Mastermind just DM'd me and was like,
nice.
"Hey, I do these videos and I like your podcast. Let me be on." I was like, fuck yeah,
sweet.
So yeah, if you want to get on, DM me. Oh wait, don't do that. No, but we really like to see a lot of different creators, and like the idea is to like not have this so JoJo focused. Like this is kind of our chance to like reach out and like see other creators who are tangentially related, and so yeah, we're looking into a few people, but there's nothing like set in stone.
Sweet.
Of course, there's some that we'd love to have, but
yeah. Get
all
exports.
Right.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for having me on the show, guys. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you so much. I was really anticipating this. I was so excited. I had a great time.
Yeah, if I didn't have to go to work, you probably could keep going for like another hour or two. But and Discord kind of shaded the bed on my end, where I keep everything keeps cutting out every like minute or two.
Yeah. Oh man, Discord's miserable.
It is.
Yeah, we need to find an alternative.
Skype. No.
But yeah, so do you want to plug anything?
Yeah.
I have.
You want to plug anything to our 3,000 subscriber audience?
Well, I have. If you want to see me talk about JoJo, there is the great. I think you just search Grayfruit's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure open quotes podcast, because it's not really a podcast; it's got a visual element. Then you can check that out. I guess check out my channel. I have. I think my most popular video is a JoJo Binding of Isaac mod video.
Yeah, I watched that when I.
Yeah, that was kind of when I realized I was like, damn, JoJo gets you views. Like it was just like this random like Isaac video, and it just like jumped straight to the top of my like all time. So if you want some JoJo content, I got that. I'll stream JoJo games in the future. Heritage for the Future and all that. So
yeah.
Oh, dude, get me on.
Hell yeah, we'll do the online. I suck at those kinds of traditional fighting games, so you can whoop my ass.
Awesome.
Well, nice. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Jim will like can in the description put like a link to your stream.
Of course.
And
hell yeah.
Whatever else you want. All right.
Nice.
Yeah, and Sam, do you want to do our plugs really quick?
Yeah, if I cut out, just ignore that. So.
Okay.
Thank you for listening. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Follow the podcast on whatever podcasts are at. I think these are going to be on iTunes now, right?
Oh yeah, well, okay, iTunes, yeah, Apple Music, Spotify. I'm gonna start posting the BROKAKAKAs on there as well.
Yeah.
Once I put this one up, I'm gonna put all the other ones up. So
Yeah, and follow the podcast and everybody here Twitter separately as well. And I think that's basically everything. You can catch live streams now of Jim drawing and sometimes us playing games if we can get it to work.
Yeah, I'd like to kind of do it maybe like weekly, but like not like set schedule. Like it's just a lot of fun to draw, and it gives me like time to sit down and draw. You know what I mean? Like impetus to draw.
Inspired. It holds you accountable. Like sometimes I'm like, exactly. I'm going to do something, and then I just don't.
No, that's the biggest part of it. All right, yeah. So we just want to thank you again one more time, Grayfruit, Jacob. It's been a what? Oh, I was thrown off. Oh yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
I'll fall apart.
Yeah. All right, and with that, I think we'll say bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.